I will make my world a better place for myself and those around me. I will do my best not to make a comment out of ignorance. The only fair in my life is in Dallas in October, Decatur in the spring. The world is not a satellite of myself. I'll be a part of the solution, not part of the problem. Just because somebody calls me a tree doesn't make me wood. I will give my best because I expect your best. Stop being offended by things that don't concern you. There's a chance I might get faded today. I will never misuse Rex Kwando. I will be a champion for anything else. All right, we got 2 sets of questions. This one's long, the other one's short. We're going to do checks and balances this week. We're going to do that Thursday. See checks and balances. So my plan is to be done with all this on Friday, and then next week we'll review stuff and we'll have a chance to do it Friday morning over the Constitution. Some of this is review, but what I've learned is people don't learn things and just kind of hold in their brain for the day or a few hours, and it's not a lot more. It's really other stuff. If we know this stuff, we keep idiots like this from doing stuff. If you pay attention to this when you get out, you can stop these kind of people from staying in office and call on it and all that kind of stuff. Because we like bright lights and candy. We know that. So when we start figuring stuff out and trying to call them on it, they just flash the bright lights or pass out the candy and we're like, oh, yeah. And then we forget about it. All right. Constitution was written in 1787 and it was ratified 1789. So they wrote it in 1787, ratified it in 1789. The revolution was over with in 1782. So for 5 years, actually, revolution went on, Articles of Confederation was there. Then for 5 years, they did the Articles of Confederation, wrote this, and then in 1789, started putting it into practice. Every state didn't ratify at the same time. They just kind of did it and gradually kind of came in. I think, I want to say 1792, I think was the first presidential election. 1792, I think. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Now, George Washington, when they called the Constitutional Convention to write the new Constitution, what role do you think George Washington would be? We know about George Washington. How would you describe George Washington?
First president of the United States.
Yes, what'd you say? An armed man? Honorable man, yes. He was a leader. So what do you think he was at the Constitutional Convention? He was the president of he was the moderator. He was the president of the Constitutional Convention. He really was a great man. Some people tried to make him king. He said, no, we just fought a war over that. Let's not do that. Because he might have been great as a king. What's the problem with kings? It's not the king, it's the kid and the grandkid and the great-grandkid. That's the problem, because they might not be. This guy is. President Washington would have been an amazing king, I think. But his son and grandson and all that stuff would have not been as good. What do you know about James Madison? Father of the Constitution. He was a Federalist from Virginia. Became president. He's president during the War of 1812 when Washington took over and they burnt the White House down, even though it wasn't quite finished. He wrote the Federalist Papers. What do y'all remember about the Federalist Papers from 8th grade? I know y'all spent a lot of time on that in 8th grade. Hmm?
40 years ago.
What?
It's 40 years ago.
Right. I know. But y'all learned it. Y'all learned stuff 10 years ago that you know now. Y'all saw movies 10 years ago you can tell me quotes from. So what did you learn about the Federalist Papers? We'll take a while to get. Well, Federalist Papers. Tell me what's in it. What's that? Federalists wrote it, which means. What's that? Well, what? Tell me. Federalist thing. What does it mean to be a Federalist? They want a stronger central government. So since he wrote the Constitution, what was the purpose of the Federalist Papers? To do what? What did he do first? He followed the Constitution. So the purpose of the Federalist Papers is to get the Constitution ratified. Explaining why we need this Constitution, why we need a strong central government. Now, Federalist Papers number 10 and Federalist Papers number 51 is the two biggest. Number 10, I want to see which one's here. Let's start with that. 51. These are essays, basically. Federalist number 51. And I'm going to change gears here. Federalist Papers number 51 was all about checks and balances. Don't write this down. We'll use it later. What's the purpose of checks and balances? To limit the power of government. To have a powerful government, but to control that power. It's the nuclear power plant with all the safety stuff in place to keep us from burning up with nuclear radiation. And he explained all this stuff and tried to get the Constitution ratified. Constitution ratified. I'm glad he was born. It'd be a lot different if he hadn't been born. He'd be less free. Who knows what we'd be now? Our Virginia plan. We've done this now already. What was the Virginia plan? Population-based representation. Population-based representation. What's important about that? That's true, but why? Because they have more people. So what's the point of population-based representation? Everyone is represented equally. All are represented equally. Now, Virginia probably looked at it as we get more reps, we get more power. But it really is each person is represented equally. Yes, as a whole, Virginia gets more power because they have more people. Ultimately, every person is represented equally when we have population-based representation. And that became what? What did the Virginia plan become? Well, that's what combined. House of Representatives. And they have 2-year terms. We'll get to that later. They have 2-year terms to keep them connected more with the people. They have to respond to the people more than the senators do. They have 6-year terms, so they're farther off from the people because they don't get elected every 6 years. House of Representatives Have to stay closer connected. Buddy, with us? You got us? Right here. Yeah, Gene playing right there. Does that make sense? Because it's 2-year terms, they have to be more connected to us. Get that, kid. You good? Jot that down. You all right? Okay. Good. Now you got the New Jersey plan, which is what? Each state having equal representation. So you've got New Jersey having equal representation with Virginia in the Senate. Here, each person is represented equally. Here, each state is represented equally. Let's say they wanted to dump nuclear waste in Wyoming. Here, they wouldn't have a shot of blocking that. Here, they have a shot of blocking that. So there's times where we need each state to have a voice. Most of the time, we need each person to have a voice. And everything runs through both. So it kind of balances each other out. Connecticut Compromise, combine these. Skip Sept. Had enough of that. All right. Electing a president. 3 ways were proposed. What's the first way? Election, popular election. Whoever wins the most votes wins. I showed you the other day why that could be a bad idea. What's bad about that? What's bad about that? On the map I showed you. All they have to do is go to the high population areas, give them candy, bright lights and candy, which that's all politicians have to do is bright lights and candy, and oh yay. They said no to this because they said the American voter would not be educated enough to make a wise decision. They didn't mean it how it is today. We are not educated enough. We are not bright enough to figure out who to vote for. We just go for the bright lights and candy. They meant there's a farmer out in Kentucky who's working all day and has never heard of these people. They wouldn't know anything about them because the information wasn't getting to them. So they were right that we're not educated enough to make a wise decision, but they meant it different. So they said no to this. Not going to do this. The second way, how did they elect senators back then? 17th Amendment changed it. What did the 17th Amendment do? We get to elect senators now. Before that, who elected the senators? State legislatures picked the senators. So they said, let's let Congress pick the president. That is us indirectly electing the president, because we elect Congress. What's different here? If Congress picks the president, what would happen? What's that? Okay, but from what? What would the president be constantly trying to do? Make them happy. So they would pick them again. Do we want that? No. So we don't want this, we don't want this. So they said we were going to have electors. Which equal the number of senators and reps in each state. So we pick whether Republicans or Democrats are going to vote. It's not the senators and reps that do the voting. I'm getting ahead of myself here, that's all right. I am a Packers face painter. What does that mean? I don't literally paint the face, but I love the Packers. So I'm a face painter, right? I wear shirts. I watch the games. There are Republican and Democratic face painters that go to conventions, that wear the t-shirts, that their life is the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. I feel so sorry for people like that. I guess there needs to be people like that. They're the ones that do the voting. So if the Republican wins Texas, they pick 37 Republican face painters to go vote for the candidate. They don't have to vote for the Republican candidate, but they're Republican face painters, so they're going to vote for the Republican candidate. Does that kind of make sense? And it's not the senators and representatives doing the voting, it's just the number of reps Texas gets. And if the Democrat wins, then it's Democratic face painters that go do the voting for them. Sometimes they vote for the other side, or sometimes they vote for somebody else. Sometimes it's Bernie Sanders, I mentioned him. When Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton in 2016, they went to the convention kind of tied. And they didn't know who was going to come out the nominee. And when it came time to vote for the president, the electors, some of the Democratic electors were split. Some of them voted for Bernie Sanders, some of them voted for Hillary Clinton. But we'll get into that. This is what they picked, which the electors are tied to the popular vote. And what do I show you is good about this? As a candidate, what do you have to do? You have to go to different parts of the country and care about different parts. Spread your stuff out. You can't just go to little parts, you have to go to major parts of it. All of it. That be good? Skip 9. After the convention, after they wrote the Constitution, what had to be done? Ratified. It had to be okay. It had to be voted on by the states. They had to adopt it. And slowly but surely, all 13 states voted to adopt it. What brought on the Anti-Federalists? How did they get some Anti-Federalist support for the Constitution? They included something. What did they add to the Constitution? Bill of Rights. The first 10 amendments. I don't know if that's on here. It's got to be. Look at number 17. The Federalists and James Madison agreed to a Bill of Rights. Now, would the Federalists have hated the Bill of Rights? No. They're all for it. So the Bill of Rights was added to gain the support of the Anti-Federalists. Not all the Anti-Federalists, but some of them looked at this and said, okay, my rights are being protected. Here's a car that runs, but there's also a brake. We got this car, we need a brake, we need a steering wheel. All right, you know what? Yeah, let's do 1213. Anti-Federalists. Done this a bunch of times. They wanted a less dangerous federal government. They wanted to be protected. They want a weed eater mower. I've had my weed eater for, did I get it in the fall? 17, 18, 19, 20. I've had it for 6 years. Bless you. And I've used the crap out of it. I haven't just used it in my house. I've used it other places. I've used the crap out of it. And it's starting to wear out. It's starting to not act right. It's starting, I'll probably, if I have the money this spring, I'll probably get a new one. The engine is, when you start it, it takes a while to get to where you can pull the trigger. You know what I'm talking about? I have to let it sit there for a while. I adjust the choke on it, you know, and then mess with it. And I used to have to do that. It's getting old. If I get strong enough grass, it'll slow down. The weed eater engine's not real strong. A lawnmower engine will go through some stuff, but it's not a strong lawnmower. But anyway, they wanted protection from the federal government. The Federalists wanted to be able to mow thick grass. Not knee-high grass, okay? But above ankle grass. Powerful engine, enough to handle ankle-high grass, not knee-high grass. Was that was the Federalists. They were scared of a mower that would mow above the ankle grass. But they have, when you buy a mower, how many of y'all mow the yard? The house, okay. Do you flip the little thing up, little flap? You know, why would you flip the flap up? So it doesn't get clogged, so you can mow through some grass and spray. They were afraid. Oh my gosh, if we're mowing that much grass, I don't want to have something that we could have. They didn't want to have to pull the flap up. The first time you mow the grass in the spring, what happens the first time you mow the grass in the spring? What are you mowing? Is there grass? What are you mowing?
Weeds.
Those thick, wet clover weeds. And you go to mow, what happens as you're mowing? Bo, you just woke up, ain't no sleep here. What happens as you're mowing? You just do that? No, what happens? Clogs up. And as it gets to where, as you can feel it starting to clog up, what do? Because you ain't going to stop. Ba-bam, ba-bam, ba-bam. You start shaking it to get the sheet out, then it doesn't, then you're mad. And then you might get to where if you haven't flipped the flap up, as it's mowing, you might grab the outside a little bit. Just can't put your fingers in there because you'll chop the fingers off. But then it's horrible when it stops. And you got to get out there and unclog it, then start it again. Because you already strapped down the thing that, the safety, you know. It's on the thing on the handle. You strap that down because you can't have to start it every time. But anyway, Zero turn.
Yeah.
You're in high school. You don't mow on a zero turn. You push mow, so you learn how to work. What in the world? That's the problem. There. Oh, that's the problem. Oh my gosh. Come kiss me. Good. How many of y'all hauled square bales before? Yes. Men. Yes. Yes. Way to go. Awesome. Every kid should have to haul square bales in their life. That's part of what's wrong with America. When I got into college, they started doing round bales. And kids couldn't haul hay. They had to get the tractor. And that's no good. I haul hay. No, you don't. You drive a vehicle is what you do. The air conditioning. Your butt sweats, but your nose is cold. That's not good.
AC. I don't know
Huh?
There's no AC on my tractor.
Good.
It's open.
Good. I have raked hay in air conditioning mower, but I have hauled hay for real, so I get to do that. So, you know, your butt gets sweaty, but your nose is. It does. It does. The first time I ever drove a tractor that wasn't a standard, I was at Salina, and they said, "Hey, go try. Would you drive the hay ride?" I'm like, "Sure." You drive a tractor? Oh, yeah, I got a tractor. You kidding? I'm a man. I get there and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like this. It had a cab and it had. I had never had to climb into a tractor before. I just get on it. The metal seat that mounts. I get in there. I don't recognize anything. I don't know any of this stuff. And then I said, "Where's the shifter?" "Oh, it's automatic." "Automatic? What do you mean?" It's getting going, almost killed some people, but eventually I figured it out, but there wasn't.
I don't like those new tractors. I like driving them.
I haven't driven a tractor since time was warm. So I wouldn't know what to do again. Back to what I wouldn't know what to do. New tractors. Don't they, as I was leaving,